Hello, everyone. I am Nikita Ross, your host of the Fearless Female Podcast. Today, I have Cassandra Cummings, yes, the founder of Stocks and Stilettos. I'm so happy that I've been a part of this organization for 2 years. June is actually my anniversary month. Actually, when I started being connected with Cassandra through Janelle Houston, and I have learned so much from this amazing woman. I'm happy to have her here today because everybody's talking about economic empowerment. This is your go to girl. I know this is a hot topic for you right now, Cassandra. So tell me this. What are some steps that a person can do in order to become more economically empowered?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on today, Nikita. I really appreciate it. The Stocks and Stiletto Society has been growing exponentially over these past few months, and you're right, it is a hot topic. I believe that people can do these three things when it comes to increasing their economic situation. Number one, they have to get educated, right? Because the more you know, the higher you go. So you need to seek out those organizations, a money mentor, someone who can take you by the hand and really help you level up your knowledge when it comes to economics. Because a lot of times we find that people just don't know what they don't know. And so it's really important for you to get around people who are moving in the direction you want financially. And more than likely, they'll be willing to share with you their journey, things that that they've done to accelerate their financial position, and even pitfalls to watch out for, so that you don't have to, experience some of the shortcomings that they did on their way to a better financial position. Number two, I would say that you have to maybe cut expenses. So take a look at your budget, take a look at your inflows, your outflows, I'm sorry, and really determine what's necessary. I think in this time of pandemic, unprecedented times, we really have to cut the fat and really identify those costs that we can do without. These aren't necessarily costs that we can, splurge on and things like that. Really identify what your creature comforts are, and stick to those at this time. And then I would say, third of all, if you can increase your income, there's so many different opportunities now that COVID has come around, the economy has shifted. Really look for those opportunities for you to increase your income, adopt additional income streams, things like this. People are sitting in the house, but that doesn't mean that your mind is on restriction just because you're physically on restriction. But use your creativity, come up with innovative ideas that you can use to bring in additional streams of income. Doesn't have to be that much, but any and every little dollar helps to add to your financial position.
Good stuff, Cassandra. Really good stuff. So, number one, education. Get around some people, read more things. Um, because, for instance, I'm reading this book and I mentioned it the other day called The 1 Minute Millionaire, and it says to get around millionaires. And I said and I thought and I was like, do I know any millionaires? Because the reason why I paused and had to think about it, because even though I know millionaires, I'm gonna be honest, did I feel comfortable enough asking them questions? You get what I'm saying? The comfort level. It's not easy because those quote unquote millionaires may not be my closest friends. Where I feel comfortable enough asking them business about, how do they acquire their wealth, or what should I do? Of course, I knew right off the top the first millionaire that came to my mind was Mr. McBride from Design Essentials. Well, that man, even though we're not best friends or anything like that, he believes in, building wealth and sharing. So I have sat at his feet and listened to him before. But when I think about people like in Houston close to me, just because somebody looks like money doesn't mean they necessarily have money. That's the
It's true.
point. And then the
It's
people that I thought about, I was like, So how do you do that? Like, how do you go about? Even for me, I'm telling you, I'm not a bashful person, But it's like, okay, I'm already in the six figures. I need to be around somebody who's in the seven figures, but how do I get comfortable enough to talk to them?
I think what you do is you first sort of seek who is going to be comfortable having you around. It's just like seeking out a mentor, right? Just on a professional or career level. You have to establish rapport with them. You have to sort of gain their trust, things like that. And you don't want to necessarily start off with deep personal questions, like how many accounts you have. You really want to observe, how do they move? How are they organized? The type of people that they interact with. And then from there, you can strike up, informal conversations before you start to move to more, I would say, interrogative type questions. There are also, I'm sure, organizations within your industry that you could be a part of, like you said, Design Essentials. But there has to be other professional organizations, where you find successful hairstylists, things like that, that have joined. You may have to pay a premium to get access to those individuals, like I do. Even though I have achieved a certain level of success, I still surround myself around people who are doing, they're baby millionaires, or they've reached $10 million, because the $10 million people move different than the $2 million, believe it or not. So, it's again just positioning yourself in such a way that other people are willing to drop their guard and really share information with you.
Good stuff. Thank you. Another thing you mentioned, so we talked about education and getting a mentor. The next thing, reduction. Looking at
Yeah,
that budget and trimming the fat. And I
yeah.
think COVID really forced us into that reduction.
Mhm.
When you couldn't eat out, a person like myself who thought that, like, no, that's a part of my lifestyle, that is what I do. Now you realize you can eat at home for 2 months and you can eat good and you're just fine. And you realize, oh my goodness, I've
Yeah,
saved so many hundreds of dollars by not going through drive throughs, restaurants, and things of that nature by itself. And then gas,
yeah.
tolls. I mean, it was so many different things. I'm like, wait a minute. For you to have less money coming in, you have way less going out. So COVID alone has shown me the value of reduction. The
Mhm.
value of reduction alone. So then you partner that up with another stream of income, whether it be stocks, whether it be
Yeah,
like a little side business.
yeah.
Everybody doesn't want to be a sole entrepreneur, meaning that's all they do. Everybody doesn't want to do that.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. But if you know that you love teaching, but also you
Mm,
love doing any parties on the weekend, that works because you work Monday through Friday. You can do a baby shower or party on the weekend. Now you have two streams of income.
right.
Virtual assistants, people are doing that. A lot of companies, not a lot of companies, but a lot of small businesses need virtual assistants. There's so many ways to make additional money.
Absolutely.
But the key is
Yeah,
just getting started.
there's a good book. I believe it's titled like 100 Home-Based Businesses. Something really simple, but it breaks down 100 home-based businesses that you could start. There's another book called The $100 Startup. I can't remember who the author is, but yeah, they have some very innovative ideas on how you can get started with just $100, on an income stream. And so there are so many ways in this current economy for people to make additional stream of income, even if it's, something like Postmates or Uber Eats. Make a few runs on the weekend, and before you know it, you've already made, $200 to $500, delivering food. So there's no shortage of ways in which you can make money in this gig economy.
So stocks, that's your thing. That's the
That's my
thing. That's your thing. So how
yeah.
can you share more with people about stocks? I want to just share one thing personally. For me, I during COVID, I had the time to just look at a stock report from It was like week one, maybe that Monday or Tuesday of week one. I was laying in the bed in Robinhood.
Yeah.
They send you a monthly summary every month that I never ever looked at. But I have time, so I'm gonna click it. Clicked it.
Yeah.
It expanded, and I was like, okay. Look, I had invested $103 in Tandem, a
Mm,
stock that I knew nothing about, never heard of the company. Janelle was like, I remember starting in June, and she said, I think you should buy that. So I bought, I don't know, if it was 5 shares. It was 5 shares of Tandem. Between June of 2018 and February of 2020, that $103 that I totally forgot about turned into $387.
wow.
And even in
Yeah.
the midst of COVID, when everything was dropping, it dropped down to 309. So I was
Mm,
still winning in the midst of a decrease, you
yeah.
know? And I said, oh God, look at you giving me a sign. Literally, seriously, giving me a sign to say, okay, you feel like you don't have anything to do during this time. You're a non essential worker. It wasn't like I was going to be doing hair from home. This is your opportunity to really be more aggressive with the stock market. Really, really
Yeah.
learn. No, seriously, because
Hmm.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of like just riding in the wave, going to the stocks and stilettos monthly meeting, listening, absorbing, not really, being having too much input because I feel like I didn't know it enough.
I know.
You know, and then I was like, wait a minute, you need to learn more. But skin in the game is what make you learn more.
Absolutely. You learn
Skin
by
in the
doing.
game.
Learn by doing. And I think that people also need to understand that there is a difference between the way in which the economy moves versus the way in which the stock market moves. They're actually mutually exclusive. And so with the stock market, it took a it took a serious decline in March, but it was also one of the fastest recovery periods I've ever seen. Within like a couple of weeks, it was already on track to, increase in terms of the Dow, and it's now back up to around 27, 28,000. And so people who got scared during that correction, they fled the market. They missed out on one of the fastest and best recoveries. Tesla was a stock that had gotten up to 900. It dropped to 300. People got in around 300, 400. The stock actually hit an all-time high today at a little over 1,014. So just imagine if you had come in and bought Tesla at 400, literally like a month and a half ago, you'd be sitting pretty. So I think that again, education is key. Getting around people that are doing things that might be of interest to you. Everybody almost needs to invest in the stock market. It's a necessary evil because the cost of living is just too expensive. You're not going to be able to really save your way to, financial freedom or even building generational wealth. You can't do it in this day and age.
And I read an article today. Long gone are the days of being with a company for 50 years.
Can't do that either.
Those days are over. Think about it. The largest companies now have the least employees.
Yes.
Airbnb, Uber,
Yeah.
Uber Eats. These big companies, even Instagram. You know, these big companies have the least employees, and they are generating all of this revenue. So if you think that I'm just gonna work at a company 50 years, invest in their personal, not personal, in their corporate stock, 401k, and retire, it's not like it used to be maybe in 1980. Those days are different. So now we have to be more aggressive and take ownership of our own investments.
Absolutely. I mean, the average person changes jobs 11 times in their careers. And most people don't contribute to a 401k because they don't have access to one. So you really have to be very aggressive in controlling your wealth, managing your wealth, because you can't leave that to a company to take care of you. Much like in the old days, you would get a pension, right? Most workers within, this period, they're not privy to a pension. And if you work for the government, right, it's pretty much low wages unless you move up high enough to command a pretty decent six-figure salary to even think about having a reasonable pension. And there aren't that many government jobs anymore. I mean, they've been trimming the fat in government too. So people got to wise up. People got to get savvy. People got to, you know, they can no longer shy away from understanding how money works.
What made you gravitate to stock opposed to real estate?
I think for me, I like stocks because I'm introverted. Real estate, you have to interact with people. And not to say that that's a bad thing. I've actually owned investment property. I've had tenants, had to evict tenants, get new tenants in. I've had, issues with plumbing, toilets, termites. And, I just figure I no longer want to get my hands dirty. It's so much easier. I make fast money trading options in the stock market. So, for me, it's just easier. But, I have friends that have very extensive real estate portfolios. And it's not to say that I won't revisit purchasing real estate again. Actually, I have six sisters, but four of us will be forming an LLC, and we're actually going to purchase an apartment building. So I will do it with a team. I won't own real estate again by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
During this time, they're talking about blackouts,
Hmm.
buying black, economic empowerment. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really subscribe to blackout. I mean, I'm not sure how this movement started, but I think what happens is that what we need to understand is that black people, they're not a monolithic group of people. We have our, we all, we have our different ideologies. We think differently. We have our different set of opinions. So just because one person wants to move one way doesn't mean that all black people need to move that way. So I'm just very apprehensive about what the whole goal of blackout is for. I think it's coming up on July 7th, but I also think that a lot of small black businesses will be impacted by that as well. Um, what was the other part of your
But when
question?
you
It
say
was
impacted by it, will they be impacted by it in a negative way or a positive way?
I think that there's also a movement going on to buy black. So I think as we get more traction with more people buying or starting black businesses, I think you'll see that there will be a shift to us, recycling and circulating more black dollars. But I think that we have a little bit of a ways to go to be able to fully circulate and recycle black dollars within our community. Certain industries we still need to have, black people in the box, and we just don't, So, but there are some industries, like with hair, there's no shortage of black hairstylists,
Right.
right? But there might be a shortage of black construction companies. There might be a shortage of, black developers. So, I think that they are slowly coming online. But again, for the most part, most of my vendors, most of the people that I do business with are black. And if they're not black, but they have the expertise or they have information that I need to gather, I don't have a problem spending my money with other people, but I use that information to bring back to my community so that it helps my community thrive. So if somebody else has knowledge, I'm willing to pay for it and then use that knowledge to help uplift my people. I think you see that in Asian cultures. They send their kids over. Same thing with African countries. They send their kids over here to go to school, and then they go back to their countries, respective countries, and then they help build and add to the value that of their respective countries. They don't necessarily have to stay here, but they come to get the knowledge and then they take it back home. It should be the same concept within the black community.
So more or less, basically, what you're saying is, you don't necessarily subscribe to the blackout, but you encourage us to buy black as much as possible.
Yes,
And also, using our resources and bringing those resources back to the community. So
absolutely.
learning how to build a building, learning how to become a millionaire. If you have to learn it from somebody from another culture, but come back to your black community and teach your five sisters how to become millionaire. Now we putting it back into our communities. Do
Yeah,
you
and I
believe?
think
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, and I think that we need to be able to do that without making an announcement that this is what we're doing. You know, uh, we get on these social media platforms and they're like, we show them our hand or we show what kind of moves we're making, and everything doesn't need to have an announcement associated with it.
How much? A lot of people now. People are protesting, things of that nature. Do you believe the power is in the dollar?
The power has always been in the dollar, ever since slavery. So, I mean, yeah, Black Lives Matter, but the green dollar matters too. And so, our oppressors really only recognize and react to two things: that's blood and money. And so, if we have the ability to increase our economic footprint here in the United States, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The only thing is that our 1.3 trillion spending power is just misaligned. We're more consumer based instead of ownership based. And so because of that, we buy, we're our community is a consuming community. We don't necessarily own enough businesses, enough stocks, enough real estate to really be a force to be reckoned with. But I think that shift is happening.
So, for a person who doesn't understand consumer base, basically what you're saying is, i.e., instead of going to buy that Gucci belt, go buy Gucci stock.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't have nice
No, right,
things
but
or
I'm just
buy
saying,
Gucci,
it's
but
a
yeah,
balance.
it doesn't make sense to spend money on, say, Gucci, Gucci shoes or Jordan shoes and so forth, and you don't have those companies in your stock portfolio. There's no reason why you should stand in line, take your time to buy a pair of, I don't know how much Jordans cost, but you not own a share of Nike, or that, you want to buy Gucci handbags or, Gucci clothes or whatever the case may be, and you don't own a share of Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. So you have to become familiar and you have to start looking at business from a different perspective. And I think that that's something that is fairly new in our community because we never really thought about that. The stock market has not truly been accessible to Black people, if you will, for decades, but the barrier to entry has been lowered. And now there's no reason that the last two generations, at least, if not the last three generations, should not be investing in the stock market.
Right before we leave, because I want people to understand
Yeah,
that it is so simple to enter this market now. It's so
it's so
simple.
simple.
Like, you do not need $1,000. You know what I
Not even.
mean? Let them
Mm-hmm.
know it's acting on that. I think that's what it is. Not knowing a lot about it, thinking that it's so expensive to enter.
Yeah,
Those are the true barriers. Even for myself, I didn't know that literally $100 was all it took. You
yeah.
know?
I mean, and people can come up with that. I mean, they probably have that sitting in their
Uh
pockets,
huh.
right? Or in their purse. So yeah, I mean, you can sign up with like an Acorns or a Stash, and then you can even open up like a Robinhood or even a Fidelity account and start with very, very little. And it doesn't take much. I mean, once you buy like your first couple of shares, it becomes quite addicting because then
True.
you see the growth
True.
and you really want to see, your account start to grow, and you start to look at the momentum and you really want to feed the beast, if you will. So you start to water the plant with more money. And then you start to see that I'm actually letting my money work for me, and I no longer have to, go out here and slave at a job for however many hours, because the money that I've shifted to the stock market has now, gotten to a point where it could truly replace the money that I've been making in my job. So, if you are consistent, you have a plan, you could get to a point where you could probably, give your employer a pink slip. It's not going to happen right away, but if you have a serious plan, I would say I've seen it done in as short a period as 5 years, but on average, it could take about 10 to 15 years for you to walk away from a job and really let your stocks take care of you financially.
Well, thank you so much, Cassandra,
Yes,
for taking time out of your trip in Las Vegas. We look forward to seeing you in
yes,
September. Also,
yes.
please let everyone know how can they find you on Instagram, website, and what are your upcoming events?
So on Instagram, you can find us at Stocks and Stilettos. Our website is stocksandstilettos.co. And we actually have a virtual investment summit coming up called Black Girls Invest. It is targeted for ages 16 to 22. We're really excited about that, and we're going to teach young ladies about budgeting, savings, credit, as well as investing. So that's going to happen July 21st. You can learn more at blackgirlsinvest.org. And then we have our Stocks and Stars Summit coming up in October here in Vegas at the Aria. That's going to happen October 9th and 10th. And so we're really excited about that. And you can go to stocksandstarssummit.com for more information.
All right, Cassandra, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Bye bye.